What do we have today? Let me see. Okay. This week on the Deets, we have Jordan and Zach Hanania from the Inner and Outer Worlds podcast. It's sort of science meets spirituality. They discuss afterlife, consciousness, and whether science and spirituality can actually work together. Thanks for tuning in. Here we go. Welcome to the show. Can you guys introduce yourselves for me?
Fuck yeah. Should I not swear?
Welcome to the show.
Say it again. Fuck yes. Off to a great start.
Welcome to... Okay. We're rolling. Is there a red light on that one? I just can't see that red light. It bothers me.
Yeah. On mine, yeah.
We'll hear it go beep, beep. Okay. Welcome to the show. Can you guys introduce yourselves for me?
Well, I'm Jordan. I'm one Hanania brother. Here with my brother Zach. I am a PhD student in my last year at UBC in Vancouver, and doing my PhD in physics. So looking into the brain, doing imaging using MRI and PET imaging. I can get into those details a bit later, maybe, but for now, just trying to figure out what to do with my life afterwards, but it's been a lot of schooling. So,
Thanks for coming on. And how about you, Zach?
Yeah, I'm Zach. I'm Jordan's brother, obviously. I am a gas pipeline laborer right now, and my career or job currently is somewhat unrelated to what we'll be talking about today. More of what we'll be talking about is related to our podcast called Inner and Outer Worlds, and I guess since Jordan's into science, he's a lot studying the outer world that we live in, but I've been more on a journey of exploring inner worlds with psychedelics, personal growth and development, and kind of awakening to more spiritual wisdom out there, like using different religions and learning from those, or just personal experience of delving deep into consciousness in general. So that's more of, I think, what we're going to talk about today. But we'll see where this goes.
Yeah, I'm going to have you guys talk a lot more than me for this one because it's, complicated stuff.
If you have like whatever questions at any point, just
I've been listening for a couple days straight, basically, in the car, going to bed. Yeah.
To our podcast?
Yeah.
I haven't listened to our podcast in months, so that's way more than me.
Do you always listen after you finish? You listen through once?
Yeah, I listened a few times.
We had a few months in between episodes, so.
A few times is a lot. They're like 4-hour episodes.
Yeah, so maybe like 2 to 3 for each one. By the time it's like.
Well, I'd like to hear what you
Sure.
have to say too.
Sure.
Yeah.
So why did you guys start a podcast?
I think you came to me with it.
Yeah, I think I was wanting to bridge the gap between science and spirituality. I've been wanting to do that for years, whether it was like through writing a book or something. But I figured since my brother's so into science, it might as well be through a podcast that we get to share together.
Yeah.
And
we used to get into arguments a lot because he'd like start kind of preaching at me, and
From a spiritual
I'd
side
be
of
like,
things?
this makes no sense, like with what I know with science.
I didn't think it was preaching, but I was just sharing what I was learning, and he would just be like, "No, that's not how it is."
I was a bit of a dick, probably too. So.
Yeah.
What were like the beginning phases, like your first couple conversations or arguments or whatever? What kind of topics were those over?
Probably death and afterlife stuff. 'Cause,
Probably.
like,
So how did you differ? What was the two opinions?
yeah, I'd say I've definitely swung quite a bit from where I was like 5-10 years ago. I was pretty staunch, like atheist, like there's nothing after this, whatever.
Yeah.
When you die, it's just whatever it was like before you were born. Like you
Mhm.
just don't remember what it was like before you were born, so that's just going to be the same
Yeah.
after you die. That just made a lot of sense to me. I still don't know. I don't think anyone really knows.
Yeah.
But I would basically like be firm at that, and then Zach would start saying like, "Oh, but I've been like reading books about all these people that whatever have near-death experiences and come back.
So aren't some of those just like a chemical reaction right before you die, and then they wake up or come back and they've experienced that?
What I've somewhat come to understand through like the New Age community and just like what feels right with my own intuition is that the chemical reactions are like an afterwards response to what's actually going on. So if the consciousness is leaving the body, like then a certain chemical process occurs that like will occur while the body's shutting down, and the brain is starting to leave, or like the consciousness is starting to leave out of the brain. Yeah. So that's what we're able to detect with science, but I think that's an after effect of what's actually happening.
Well,
So like those near-death experiences I was reading about, people were reporting similar experiences in deep meditative trances and also with psychedelic drug trips. So like all of those things, being that they were all similar experiences being reported from people, it has just led me to believe there are other dimensions out there. And like, I'm sure you guys have tried different psychedelics in certain times in your life, and or if someone's experienced like a deep meditative trance or something, or a few people have experienced near-death experiences, there's definitely something going on or other things that you tap into, and a lot of people credit that to being just the mind making up stories. But I would pose the question, like, where does our mind stop? Like, is it just within our skull, or is it more in other dimensions that we can't access in our current sober state? And Jordan can get into more about how, what's Bernardo Kastrup's main
idealism.
Idealism, and how like everything in reality is somewhat an aspect of our own mind or our shared mind, and how like we're all connected to all events through like synchronicity and all those things, which is a lot of the work of Carl Jung, if people are familiar with that.
Yeah. It's hard for people to wrap their minds around something. I'm surprised that you got there like from a science perspective.
Yeah, I can kind of give some insight on like why I'm kind of leaning more towards like some sort of afterlife type thing, and it kind of falls in line with the chemical notion as well. Like even just thinking like how we process time, like some days the time flies by, some days it like feels really slow, and that's like in a sober state, like with just natural fluctuations of whatever chemicals. So I feel like our perception of time is like highly produced by whatever our brain state is, like chemically speaking.
Yeah.
So if you take psychedelics, for instance, depending on what psychedelic and like how much you take, you can find yourself in like time loops, or like some people say there's like reverse time things, or like past life things that you were talking about.
Yeah, like people when salvia was legal, people are like, I just lived a week.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, no, it's a couple minutes.
So like, yeah, if there are chemicals released at the end of your life, like whatever, if they're natural, the death chemicals, I don't know whatever people report, like some people say it's DMT being released or something. And then that maybe that time distortion kind of extends out to infinity almost, and you could like then whatever, I don't know what the actual mechanism would be to like some religions think you like are reborn into another body or something, and I don't know how that might work, but maybe that's the case. But at the very least, like a chemical could extend that perception of time basically to infinite, and you could just have like this afterlife, whatever that is.
It's interesting that there's so much overlap between all the religions, like from different areas in the world at different times.
It's cool, you know that. Yeah,
they end up having the same stories, so there has to be something to that, right?
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, that's exactly like what drew me in to the whole New Age spiritual, I guess, movement, because they're drawing from many different religions saying the same thing. People are going to these like meditative trances where they can channel spirits like through their own mind and like say what the spirits are telling them, or say what like the aliens are telling them, and it's saying the same shit as the Bible or the same stuff as the Quran from Islam. And it's like I'm just connecting the dots here. Like I'm just like drawing from multiple sources, seeing that people are reaching similar conclusions of like oneness or a connection with a higher power or a creator, and like different dimensions existing. And like I honestly think there's no true limit that we know of with dimensions. Like people will say like, oh, there's 9 dimensions or 12 dimensions. I honestly think they're just pulling shit out of their ass. They don't actually know. And like because of that, people who are saying like, oh, with Hinduism, there's like a ton of different gods and stuff, and like that's not to say that Hinduism's wrong or Buddhism's wrong or Islam's wrong or Christianity's wrong. Like they could all be right, just people tapping into different dimensions. There could be so many dimensions that people are like getting into these like meditative states, entering a different dimension, but that's not to say that the next dimension over, like that is apparently like a different religion, is wrong. It's just a different dimension.
Yeah, and a lot of the times they're just the same, and then a lot of them are like from paganism, where it's like they're actually worshiping like the sun and the water and
The earth.
Yeah,
Yeah.
their food basically, their how they survived.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's hard to say.
It's all correct in its own perspective, you know. It's
Yeah.
like, it's not untrue that we're deeply connected to like the air that we breathe, the water that we drink, the sunlight that permeates our skin.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth so many times in my life at different stages of my life, and I don't know where I'll end up or anything, but a lot of people probably share that.
Would you say you're religious at all? Or like
No, not
spiritual
really.
or
I have a stone that I carry around for some reason.
that's
It's moldavite.
Where'd you get this stone?
Kind of just came to me.
Do you have it on you?
I don't have it with me. It's upstairs.
That's okay.
After at the break, I'll show you.
Nice.
But actually, one of the fan I'll get to that later. I have a fan question about that later.
Nice.
But so your podcast, what have been some of your favorite topics you've gone over?
You want to start?
Yeah, I can start. So our second episode, we cover a book called Alien Information Theory, which is basically is he a
neurobiologist?
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's a neurobiologist's perspective on DMT and how the information that we perceive in our sober state is like gating information from this third dimension, but that's based on like the rule set of the laws of physics that we know of within the 3D realm. He's saying that when we take these substances like DMT, it could be opening our brains up into different parts of our brain that are designed to be receptors for different dimensions. And we can't normally access those gateways from those other dimensions without those substances being taken. But once we take them, which DMT is also released when we die, by the way. And that's why they call it the spirit molecule, because you're kind of tapping into those dimensions that could be out there when you die. But we have a shortcut to that through ayahuasca or through different synthesized forms of DMT. And he basically writes a whole hypothesis in this alien information theory book about how that could be occurring, and he breaks down the biology of it pretty well. So we cover that for like a long ass 4-hour episode.
Yeah,
episode 2.
I think that episode's my favorite too, because like 2 or 3 hours of it is pretty like legit science. Like this guy's a like PhD scientist, working professional dude, but then like at the end of the book and at the end of the podcast episode, we get a little wacky with it. So we're like entertaining these ideas of like multiple dimensions, which I mean, nobody knows if that's right or how you'd even go test that. But
did he do that in the book? Is there like theory also, or were you guys just?
Yeah, no. In the book, like the structure of the podcast is basically a book report. Like we're kind of going from like the start of the book, which is kind of defining what information is, like how computers work and how our brains work and stuff like that. So this is all like neuroscience or computer science. And then by the end of the book, after he's introduced like DMT and how it interacts with your brain, he's like, okay, maybe there's this dimension where all these aliens exist. And when people take DMT and report meeting aliens, like maybe those are real entities somewhere that are like talking to us or interacting with us. It's not just like a hallucination of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, because why are they all the same when they're described with the large head and that?
Yeah. So like a skeptical person would say like, oh, our biology is similar.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore there's like the same types of entities for each person. Or same. Yeah. But.
Or it could be that people have grown up seeing that that's what aliens are like. And then when they hallucinate, that's what they hallucinate.
Yeah.
Could
Although
be that too.
people report all sorts of like weird non-alien like things. Like it's not like just little green men. There's like, I don't know, purple women with like 12 breasts and stuff, and like little elves that fly around made of gears and machines and stuff. So
have you guys had any interesting experiences, not to that extent, but through maybe psychedelics? Yeah.
I have felt the presence of like two beings that felt like orbs after I smoked NN DMT through a vape on Jordan's couch, and like the message that I kind of like telepathically received from them is that they were trapped in eternity and they keep reincarnating to like make the best of this eternity thing, and like it really felt like it was because there's nothing better, like there's nothing else better for them to do. Like I don't know if that's like souls being trapped in between dimension or like an interdimensional thing, and they don't know what to do with themselves other than reincarnate, or like maybe it was a figment of my imagination, but I definitely don't think that. I didn't even expect to meet any beings there, and I have more of a optimistic perspective than that. Like I don't think it's just like we're trapped in a cycle of reincarnating, but like that's kind of the message I received, so it's kind of like surprising, and it didn't feel like it came from me. It just felt like oh, this is news to me that that's how it is for some beings.
It's do you think was that after you were interested in this? Because
yeah,
you think about like people in high school or whatever when just doing recreational drugs, they don't have these experiences. They're like laughing about trying to get a Slurpee at 7-Eleven on drugs or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, it's weird to think maybe if your mind is open to it, then it's accessible. It's like if you give a dog a cell phone, they look at it like a rock.
Right.
Like you have like horse blinders on until you start looking into it.
Yeah. Well, it's also like like that dog analogy is good, but like people often say like with ants, like they wouldn't even know what's going on outside of their little anthill, and like the same could be true of us. It's like we are just used to whatever we're doing in our daily basis, but like there could be the human equivalent to ants just like storming around up there in some fourth, fifth dimension, and like we would have no idea. But I mean, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. And do you think ants experience time differently? Like, is an ant lifetime?
I think every single
so.
species experiences time differently.
I kind of have this like little theory that I don't know how to prove or anything, but like maybe the smaller you are, or like maybe it's related to the processing speed. Like for instance, a hummingbird, like it's freaking zipping around and like doing everything like a million times a second.
I've thought about that too, the size thing for time.
I'm like, is like 1 second for this hummingbird like a minute in my time? Because it seems like it's processing everything just way faster. And to me, that seems like it should be experiencing.
Like their little heartbeat is like a different speed metronome.
Yeah,
for their time.
Like you could maybe use like heart rate or
Yeah.
some sort of thing as like your conscious processing speed or like time perception.
And I guess the length of their life relative to it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably all factors, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's like for our minds, I guess you could think of it another way of like, how many unique thoughts can I have like per second? Like maybe it's like one, but for a hummingbird, it might be like they could have like 20 unique thoughts per second. And for a computer, it can have like a billion. So like if the computer's perceiving time,
Yeah.
it would perceive it a billion times slower than
I
we.
wonder if humans perceive time differently now in like the tech age compared to the 1920s.
That's a great question.
Yeah.
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 Probably.
I think the answer
Probably.
is yes.
Yeah.
Because even like, and this has been like reported through many people who have come into like a lot of the new agey information that I've been learning from, but like time seems to speed up like more than the average person, and I've heard that and experienced it myself. Like every year goes by so much faster, I feel like, than it did in the past, and I know that's somewhat universal to people as they get older. But like I've been really curious about this, and I've asked people in like many different work environments that I've been in, like, oh, did like today feel fast, or does like time feel faster as you get older? And like there's like a average trajectory that's like on like a normal like upwards graph of like, yes, time is speeding up, but like for people that are more into like the psychedelic stuff or like the new agey information that I'm into, they're like kind of freaking out about it. They're like, yes, like every year is like exponentially faster, and like I feel like I'm losing life like in like months that used to feel like years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think it's
Interesting.
because of the?
I think it's like a
the new age
perception
stuff.
thing, like
Yeah, it might also be like
or like a vibration thing.
the amount of. I don't know the. I can't think of what I was gonna say
Like
actually.
maybe awareness that
Yeah,
person's
and like
exposed to.
you're taking in a lot of information now, and you're
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
Before you're just like
related to all
doing
that.
nothing. You're just like existing, right?
Yeah. And it's kind of beautiful, like just the pure state of not being like too self-aware and just experiencing life as it is as a kid.
Yeah.
There's like a purity to that.
Yeah, no stress, worries. Even when you're excited about something, it's like you're not thinking about it for years in advance. It's just kind of
It
like
just comes
Yeah.
up.
yeah.
It's like sweet, a Slurpee.
Exactly.
Until you're on drugs and you try and get it at
Should we get
7-Eleven.
Slurpees a second time?
I know, that's right.
I
We have to
should.
drink it out of the mugs though.
I know you have
Yeah.
to. By the way, should I plug these? $20
Yeah, plug 'em.
if you want. $20. New
Jeez,
mugs.
that's cheap.
I'm just gonna check. I could order a Slurpees.
That's okay. They'll be melted by the time they get here. I guess it's winter, maybe not.
So, have there been some topics for your podcast that are too complicated, too hard to explain, or anything like that?
Every single episode we talk about consciousness, and every single episode we can't properly explain it.
Like you have differing opinions, or you just agree the same way you can't explain it?
I think we agree on a lot of it, but
Now we
I
do,
think
yeah.
it's kind of just like this really abstract thing that we can. I mean, at the end of the day, consciousness is just our experience.
Mhm.
So like it's like kind of trying to describe an experience to someone. Like
You can't
Let's-
really tell someone what the taste of a Slurpee is like. They have to try it for themselves to truly know. Like
Yeah.
yeah,
only if someone's tried the Coke flavor can they relate to that Coke flavor. Otherwise, it's impossible to explain it to
Yeah.
someone who's never tried it.
Yeah, so there's a lot of things I want to tackle with that in the coming like weeks and months. Just like trying to communicate about these abstract things a bit better. Yeah, maybe even having an episode on how like one could approach that problem.
What how far have you gotten in that subject? Like, have you talked about where consciousness ends, relative to life? Like what, like animals, plants, things like that?
Yeah, we haven't talked about that on the podcast, but I'm sure we have our own thoughts about it.
Do you want to share your thoughts? I'd like to get Jeff's thoughts too after
Yeah.
we share ours.
So like I'd say this is more of a recent, maybe like the past 3 or 4 years for me, that I'm open to the idea that consciousness is kind of like a spectrum all
Mm.
the way down from like whatever we're experiencing. And then like dogs are also, there's something it's like to be that dog.
Yeah.
There's something it's like to be an ant. And then it's like, okay, where does that stop? Maybe it kind of doesn't. Like maybe there's something it's like to be
A
a
cell.
subatomic particle or a cell. So that's like this panpsychist notion. I don't know if you've heard of that, but it's like this philosophy that everything's got something it's like to be them, but it would just be like very boring or simple for like these smaller things.
Right.
But for us, like with complex brains, there's this rich experience we can have.
I've heard a lot, because you hear a lot more now talking about like AI and consciousness, and I've heard a lot of it relate to like free will.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a forest of mushrooms is conscious,
Right.
but
Yeah, I don't. To me, it would just be a very different type of experience that it's having.
yeah,
Was it you who shared with me that certain fungi or mushrooms can brainwash ants to bring them
Yeah.
to the tops of trees?
I've seen that.
You've
And
Yeah.
It's fucking
they,
crazy.
they kill themselves.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
the spores
Yeah,
fall onto their.
I saw
And
that
then they
on.
start operating their bodies, don't they? Like zombies.
They do to make them go up the tree, right?
Yeah, it like hijacks their
Yeah.
little ant brain.
It's crazy. And then,
nuts.
well, actually, I think that's where they got the idea for a lot of these.
Zombie movie.
What's
zombie
that one
shows.
show?
The one that was filmed here.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
Last
that
of Us.
was.
Last of Us.
Yeah, I think that was part of the inspiration in that.
Yeah. It's
Um,
crazy that is somewhat like possible.
Yeah, I know.
On an ant scale.
It's a
Yeah,
mushroom.
well, No.
Well, like that could cross over to other species, maybe
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our own. even.
through evolution. Like
Yeah.
maybe not quickly, but
All it takes is a mutation in the mushrooms for it to potentially affect us in that way.
I wonder if anyone's studying like weaponizing that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, all
Is that-
these bioweapons are like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not, they're going to
Zombie
after you mention
mushroom.
that.
Yeah.
zombie mushroom bioweapon.
Yeah, I've heard like some biologists like laugh it off on Twitter or something. They're like, "Oh, that's impossible," but
He's
But-
probably in on it.
yeah,
and-
I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh shit!"
No, talk about something else.
There's a good conspiracy. Yeah,
Yeah, well, that kind of stuff happens. The people who deny it quickly,
right.
they're suspicious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, that I saw that on Planet Earth or one of those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's crazy how they get some of those shots, hey?
yeah.
How do you have a 8K camera waiting in the middle of the jungle where no one's ever been? There's like 90 angles of an ant.
It's crazy, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Fuck.
But yeah, I do think I agree with consciousness permeating everything. And like many people who do ayahuasca or things like that will say they were tapping into like the plant kingdom around them in the jungle where they did it. And
Yeah.
like they're absolutely conscious and they're like telling them profound shit about like the area or life or how the planet's like being corrupt by humanity. And a lot of people like will have outer body experiences and like fly around space and like visit other planets or realms or microscopic even levels of existence.
How to explain it. That's the hard part. When you come out of something like that, a lot of the time you can't even put it into words or ever explain it again, and it's just something you have in your
Exactly.
mind.
Yeah,
It's true. That's where like experience is like a necessary thing to gauge our reality, because like science has tried to say we need to be able to prove things with experiments in order to call it real. But like that's only one aspect of existence, like our external reality that's provable and falsifiable through experiments. But like our experience is an undeniable aspect of this too.
Mhm.
So like there's no experiment that can tell you what the taste of a Slurpee tastes like. It's only experience.
There might be like our ability to measure things changes, and it's changing more rapidly all the time. So like there might be
Yeah.
ways to measure things.
It can
like
tell you
that.
there can be a symbol for what the taste of Coke is, for example, the Coke Slurpee flavor.
Well,
but
they could
like a data set.
they could be like, these are the molecules that make you taste this little flavor
Yeah.
note, this one. But then
They all symbolize the real thing.
if
It's not the real thing itself.
Yeah.
yeah, like if you gave a person all those sheets of paper that say like these are all the molecules in Coke and this is what you're experiencing, they're like, I still don't know what Coke tastes like.
What if there's they through like a neural link, something like that, they just spark the taste of it in your mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
That-
they would have to fire the exact amount of like billions of neurons at the same time for you to experience
Yeah.
that.
Well, I mean, it's not possible now, but
Mhm.
It could
maybe
be
50
some point.
years from now or something.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Do you guys ever talk about things like futuristic technologies?
Not
I've
much.
done it
We
a bunch.
yeah, we should
AI
definitely
more
do
than
an,
anything.
an AI episode of some sort or
Yeah.
multiple, but
The problem is it might change by the time your episode comes out. It
Yeah,
might be a
that's
totally
fine.
different.
Jordan's actually doing some work with AI. If you want to share what that is.
Is it top secret though?
no,
I don't have clearance.
no, it's not like too official of work. One of the things is helping AIs solve like physics problems.
Yeah.
So you basically give it a physics problem. You're like, this block has mass, whatever, 5 kilograms, and it's like on a slope, and you can like ask it like what its speed will be after like 10 seconds. Like you can just ask it whatever physics problem you'd find in a textbook, and then the AI will run through its little AI brain and like try to solve it for you.
Mm-hmm.
And then if it fucks up, you basically go in and correct it and just guide it through. So we're training AIs to do physics, which could possibly be dangerous in the long term, because it's like, okay, well, if they can figure this stuff out on their own, then
Is
you know,
it
they can
what
take
kind of
over or
AI is
something.
it?
It's just like a chatbot. It's
Yeah.
almost like a chat GPT thing, but it just knows how to do equations and stuff too.
Okay.
So it can do math and it can do
And you catch the errors it makes?
Yeah.
Are they obvious errors or you
yeah,
study
they're
it?
they're obvious enough if you know like what the answer is or how to get there
Hmm.
with a human brain. Then you can just be like, yeah, you made a mistake here, and then it'll go back and try.
That's
again.
really impressive. Like
It's
my biggest problem is the exposure of a digital camera. I don't go through.
I'm in the same boat, but
Don't ask me, man. That's I don't know anything about cameras.
That's do you want to have a quick break here?
Sure.
We'll cut to commercial. You ever
Let's do
done
it.
that? Do you guys do
No.
that?
no, I
You
never
should.
have.
I do it for no reason. I have no sponsors.
We
We'll-
take piss breaks. Yeah.
We'll
but-
be right back. Hey, it's me again. There's a couple ways you can help support the show. You can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio. Follow us on Instagram. Completely free ways to help us out. And then if you really want to get crazy, share it with a friend. Give us a 5-star rating. That's it. Free and easy. And we're back. I don't know what to do there.
just use my
I like
burp.
it.
Okay, we're back. So I have a couple fan questions.
Who are
Your fans, mine fans. I
Your-
don't know.
yeah.
They're fan questions. Let's see here.
Ceiling fan.
Ceiling fan.
Cue the fucking
Yeah, the wah wah. Okay,
Or the
first
comedy
Cut that,
drums,
cut that,
the
cut
comedy drum.
first question was, what is dark matter?
Ooh.
Jordan, go.
Good thing is that nobody knows.
Yeah,
But okay, so
that's a hard question.
yeah. Well, I can say why they know it. It is there.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is, but basically, if you look at how galaxies are spinning around whatever's in the center of the galaxy, and you use like equations of normal matter and like assumptions of like how many stars are in these galaxies, they basically just spin way differently than you could ever account for. Like basically scientists are like, there has to be some extra stuff that we just can't see in here.
Yeah,
That
but
just
not
makes
antimatter. It's just,
Yeah, no, it's not antimatter. Antimatter is a lot more well understood
yeah.
than dark matter. So dark matter, they're just like, okay, there's some like dark stuff that we can't see that's causing these galaxies.
How would there be a way to ever?
to like
Yeah,
investigate it?
yeah.
Well, they are looking into it. Like, I don't know the exact methods, but I know at UBC, for instance, there's like all these astronomers doing dark matter experiments and whatnot. But yeah, like you basically, to do any measurement in physics, you have to interact with the thing. So it's like, if it's inherently the case that you can interact with it, which seems a bit off to me because it's clearly like influencing
Mhm.
how things are moving.
So are they experiments just watching it over long periods of time?
I'd have to look into that in more detail, but I think they can look at a bunch of different galaxies with different telescopes and do various experiments, and they have like mathematical equations, and it can kind of get to what this thing may be, but I don't know if we'll be able to interact with it. There is one cool theory that I could maybe get into quickly here. Do you know Stephen Wolfram? Have you ever used like Wolfram Alpha or like? Okay, so
No.
there's this. It's basically like a mathematical coding language online that like can solve all these problems for you. Like you can ask it how many M&Ms will fit in like a Boeing 747,
Oh.
and it'll like calculate it for you or something.
No, I haven't done that.
Yeah, so you can like play around with it. It's pretty fun. But yeah, this dude like invented this, but he's also trying to like figure out the rules of the universe. So he's
Okay.
got these theories on like what the universe is.
Yeah.
And I won't go into the specifics there, but he thinks dark matter might just be like a property of like space time itself. So like, oh, briefly, I won't go into this, but space time is like this thing that can be warped and bent. And that was all this Einstein theories in like the early 1900s.
It's how like Interstellar, the movie,
Yeah.
like they experience time differently. He comes back and his daughter's an old lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like people have kind of understood space-time for a while, but like they think that dark matter might just be like space-time interacting with itself or something. So it's like
Like
if you
a-
think of space-time as like a mesh or like a grid of some
Like
sort.
a trail of.
Yeah, it could be like it's just
Is it? Are you saying more like a trail or more like your ghost in Mario Kart when you've already done the course? You race your ghost.
Wait, what do you mean by the trail? Sorry.
Like I don't know actually.
Okay.
Like the
Yeah.
movement of. I don't know what I mean. I guess.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't know if I'm able to explain the concept well enough.
It's a hard question. That was
yeah,
question number one.
yeah,
It only
yeah.
gets harder.
Okay, get harder. Let's go.
It was. They were mostly from the same person. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
Cut that.
cut that.
I'll cut that.
They're
I have a
from-
lot of cutting to do.
Yeah.
Do I?
Maybe
don't
not.
know.
Keep
No, we're
that.
doing
Keep
good.
that.
Um,
keep that.
I don't even. This question doesn't make sense to me. It was why are some infinities longer than others,
Ooh,
and what does that mean? Because I have no
that
idea.
doesn't even make
The
sense. to
question
me.
doesn't make sense.
so yeah, this is a trippy concept. There's probably good YouTube videos. You can look up like Cantor, like Cantor.
Hold on. Doesn't infinity just mean never ending?
Yeah, but there's different sizes of infinity.
What the fuck?
So here, can I get into this? Let's see. So there's
You have. Yeah.
there's
can.
something called countable infinity, and then there's something called uncountable infinity, and then there's more. But countable infinity is you going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep doing that forever and ever,
Yeah.
and that's a countable infinity. Uncountable infinity is okay. So take the number 1 and then do a decimal place there, 1.1, 1.15, 1.16, whatever, like the digits of pi, for instance.
Mhm.
That so that type of infinity, like just doing that, is called uncountable. It's how do I describe that? So
We didn't even understand the question, so.
yeah, that's so basically if you look at like a number line and you start with like the number 1 and number 2,
Mm.
and you start to like zoom in between those numbers and
there's,
just keep
like,
keep zooming.
Already infinity between 1 and 2.
Yeah, there's like a larger infinity between 1 and 2 than there is of like the countable numbers, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay.
So
Because it can go on for infinite decimal places.
it's kind of like
Which
okay,
seem countable still to me.
yeah, it seems like it until you like go through some sort of math with it and you convince yourself that it's impossible to if you use the number 1 to map onto some decimal, and then use another number 2 to like to map onto another decimal point, and you
Mhm.
keep doing that, you will never have enough numbers
There's
that
like
are countable to
another
map.
infinity between 1 and 1.1.
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like
That's crazy.
you basically don't have enough countable numbers to describe the number of decimals between there. So that's like one type of difference in
Mm.
infinities. And then mathematicians kind of ran with that and made up all sorts
Thanks
of
for
other new
teaching
stuff.
us that.
Yeah, that's the best I can do.
Well, I'm going to tell someone.
Yeah.
Before we move on past that, or were you gonna finish
There's
with
good visuals if you do like a YouTube video of like Cantor.
Okay.
Infinity.
something? Who's the Ruliad guy?
Wolfram.
Wolfram. Okay.
Yeah.
So, you know the movie The Matrix and how everything's coded with numbers in order to like give us this reality, but that's not like the truth
Yeah.
or whatever. So like, assuming like, just hypothetically speaking, if there is code that's like behind, because there are quantum numbers, as like we learned in the alien information theory book, that like define the position of an electron,
Yeah.
like in our reality, and like everything's made of protons and electrons, and other subatomic particles. But if there really is like a code that specifies the placement of every single particle in our universe, like there could just be an infinite number of code, which would mean like the universe is infinite, which is trippy as hell. So like if you just change like any aspect of those numbers, it could create its own whole different multiverse or like universe within the multiverse. And then like that new universe is just like the new expression, or like hitting run on a new program that is that different set of code just sequentially unfolding, which is trippy as hell.
Yeah.
Just alter a few numbers and like it's a totally different experience.
Yeah. Jeez. I got to crack that box I got in the mail today, hey?
Yeah.
Should have done that before.
The mushroom.
Yeah. The next question was so tough. It's about quantum gravity
Fuck yeah.
versus regular gravity, and will we
Yeah.
get a law that kind of marries the two? Is that
Ooh.
possible?
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to start looking in different places, maybe, or like figuring out what, like they've been going down these deep rabbit holes. Like I don't know if you've heard of string theory.
Yeah.
Or there's like other variations or similar types, and as far as I understand, they're kind of just like at a wall with that. Like they're making their own little developments, but they're mostly just like new mathematical developments that don't correspond to reality necessarily. So it's like what people constantly say is that you can't like ever test string theory.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that's actually the case or not, but
Sum up string theory for us.
well, basically it's the notion that there's like, instead of particles, it's like there's these little vibrating strings at the basis of everything. So you could have like little loops of string that vibrate in certain harmonics, like a guitar string. Like if you change the length of it or something, it vibrates differently.
So is that like,
and then there's all these rules to them, and then that builds up all of physics, supposedly.
so it's like a wave and like a, as well, like a wave.
Yeah, there's like certain
String?
like states of these strings, like waves on them that.
So it's more wave than particle. These strings.
Yeah, sure, you could say that, but then it's also
Or like it's a particle wave potentiality where they could manifest as both interchangeably.
yeah. I think you could go there. That's like the classic quantum stuff. But I just frankly don't know.
Okay, I get it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This next one is lighter. Don't worry.
'Kay.
It's what sci-fi things do you wish were real?
Mm.
Could be items or concepts. I don't know. What sci-fi? Do you like sci-fi?
I love sci-fi.
Yeah.
Sci-fi. Yeah.
Cool. I like any sci-fi thing that has like aspects of multiverse, which it seems like is every fucking Marvel movie these days.
Now it's very popular.
Yeah,
very
that's
popular,
huge now.
yeah.
All this quantum Marvel stuff. It's like way too much.
I don't think people had the capacity to understand that before. It was just like, oh, lasers was like the crazy thing.
Exactly.
And now you could float. Like
Yeah.
And so it's probably just progressing. Like
Yeah.
people have been educated on things like that since they were little.
Yeah.
Right.
I like time travel-y related things, or like Matrix, like simulation stuff.
Yeah.
Yes, like the Matrix, Interstellar.
I like also, I don't know if it's sci-fi, but things like The Giver, and those are more futuristic, I guess. than
Right.
sci-fi.
What's the synopsis of The Giver? in
The
your
Gi-
words?
Uh,
I haven't read it since like junior high, so
you should watch the movie.
Oh, there's a movie.
Yeah, Jeff Bridges.
Oh fuck
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
He's awesome.
He's the best.
Nice.
There's The Giver, and then even the books like Brave New World in 1984.
Like dystopian type stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
I love that shit.
yeah, because they're like not that far off.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, at the time they were very far off. And
Yeah.
now it's just like
It's prophetic, yeah.
yeah.
And then I don't is Inception a sci-fi? I don't know if that
Well,
not really, but
there's
like that.
definitely aspects of it that
yeah, I like Chris Nolan movies like where he plays around with like time and
yeah, because like
trippy stuff.
with
Dream state.
with
Yeah.
things like Neuralink or whatever, like you could probably pay for dreams to be at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Probably.
true.
Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows what can? What about like physical items from those movies? Is there anything you wish you had?
Time
Like
machine.
a lightsaber, time machine. I don't know. I don't know.
I don't want to fuck around with
Butterfly
time.
effect.
Yeah,
Paranoia.
yeah. If I don't know. I don't. What do you think of time travel?
Like if it's gonna be
Ooh.
possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Apparently there's like all sorts of proofs or whatever that you can't go back in time.
Yeah, that's what I'm
But-
thinking because we would know about it, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe we're so like simple now that no one would want to travel back to this time.
Right.
I think what might be more accurate is traveling to like a parallel universe where like you change the coordinates of like all of your like quantum numbers, for example, like we were just talking about, that place the electron, and all of a sudden like your consciousness can appear in a different
Yeah.
like multiverse or parallel universe.
Or like, yeah, you travel back in time, but that's the beginning of that timeline with you in it,
Yeah.
yeah,
kind of thing.
yeah, that would be trippy.
Well, it's like
But I think this current universe is on a trajectory. Like the program has been run and it's in the process of running, and like this will always continue running until like let's say like the end of the universe happens and it implodes on itself.
Right.
yeah, well there's all those paradoxes of like if you go back in time and kill your grandfather, what happens?
Right.
Like,
Right.
Yeah.
where do you go? Do you just pop out of existence, or was that a parallel dimension or something?
Like with like the new agey kind of information I've been exposed to and like that come through channelers and stuff, it's like they say you choose your family on some level. So like your consciousness is like chilling in some realm and it's waiting for your parents to, and when they do, you fly in
Flies
to
in.
that like whatever.
I'm gonna make a
those
dolphin
cells.
noise.
Yeah. That's right. And then your soul like starts like experiencing this human like incarnation. But like let's say your parents don't on that night, or your dad is no longer, like will your consciousness still like follow your mom, for example, and end up being in that being that she makes with some other partner?
Yeah, that's
Like that's questions that I have.
that's a trippy thought I've had a lot. Is like, would I still be me if my parents had sex like 10 minutes later?
Yeah.
Or
I
like,
think not.
yeah.
I don't know.
Then where would I be? I
but
don't know.
like,
It would be a
physically.
different genetic.
yeah,
Yeah,
physically it'd be
exactly.
different,
Different
but I
genes
guess
would be different.
your
Yeah.
upbringing would have been exactly the same,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
your
yeah.
environment wouldn't change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like
But,
certain
like-
aspects of you would be the exact same, certain would be totally different.
I just don't even think it would be me having this experience. It's like, why am I not behind Zach's eyes right now?
Hmm.
Why am I in my head? It's like
Well, you had to, yeah,
all those other little potential Jordans that could
It's
have been
wherever you
existing
think
too.
the origin of consciousness comes from. If you
Right.
think it comes from the inception, like from that moment, out of nothingness, then yeah, like it
It's
would be
different.
a different person
Yeah. So you,
or
yeah,
a
you
different
think
awareness.
it's like
But if you think it's like a soul chilling there waiting for like people to dolphin noise again, and when they do, then it like jumps in there, and like at that point, it could just be like
Right.
you waiting for
then
the
that would still
opportunity.
be me.
Yeah.
I see.
yeah. But
Interesting.
like, what if you came out something wrong with you, or you looked like you're like super ugly or something? Then your experiences through like kindergarten would be different. People would be
That's true.
junior to you,
Yeah,
It's true.
and then you would be different. So
yeah, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting. And like channelers have said like a soul will sign up for that to like gain the wisdom from like having that handicap. Like they sign up for that on some level to gain experience, and then they die from that life, and then all of a sudden they have this like new wisdom that they never would have had if they hadn't experienced those hardships.
We've been talking a lot about science more than the spiritual stuff. And I forgot to get my crystal, but what do you guys think of things like crystals and horoscope? Not horoscopes, but dog's home.
Dog home.
Should we cut to commercial?
No,
Or keep going. Yeah, keep going.
we'll see. We'll see how chaotic it gets up there.
Okay.
But what do you think of those kind of things?
Do you wanna?
Sure, I'll jump in. I think in most cases they're permission slips and like placebo
Right.
for you to be able to
I'm
feel
surprised you
those
say
certain
that.
ways.
That's what my kind of.
I think for the most part, but I do think like certain rocks emit different vibrations than others, and like because of that, they can like stimulate certain things in your mood as well. So it's kind of both. Like I feel like the overarching like effect that is probably the most potent is placebo, but like that's not to say that like because it's true that if you shine a light on a different gemstone and it like refracts like a different wavelength off of it, that's giving off a different signal than like another diamond or some shit. So like because of that, like we are also just the series of a bunch of different like cells vibrating together. So like those wavelengths hitting us will have different effects on us, and maybe in larger quantities they have even more of an effect.
Like
So-
if you're in one of those salt bathrooms.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
that, but not just
Well, it could.
rose quartz.
It could, but like maybe it depends where on your body it is. I really don't know about
I
those
ha-
things
well,
too much, but
I have a mixed opinion. Actually, say your opinion first.
I'm
as
done.
a-
I'm
from
fine.
the
Go ahead.
scientist point of view.
Yeah, I think Zach actually is a similar take to me. I thought you'd be more like woo woo about it, maybe like and be like, hell yeah, like these planets and their alignments and stars and stuff are like.
Those are probably factors too, but
Yeah, like-
horoscopes and
yeah.
not horoscopes, but
Oh, I
what's
absolutely
the word?
believe. I absolutely believe in astrology.
Astrology. Yeah.
Okay.
100%.
Yeah, so that's where we would then differ. Is that I don't necessarily think like even if there is a true like signal coming from those that we would know how to interpret that or actually be in tune with that, but I could be wrong. I don't know. Maybe like obviously you believe in like these channelers that talk to entities and whatnot, and again these are like experiential things that you can't disprove scientifically. So it's like you can keep an open mind and like I don't know. It's just hard to.
Well, it could be
True.
like how the moon affects so much on Earth,
Yeah.
like the tides and how the animals are acting. It could be something more than just a light source. It could be like different planets being closer affecting us. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that could be part of it.
Yeah.
And for the gems, I do have one,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I don't know. I usually think it's more of like a law of attraction kind of thing. Like, but things happened. Things happened after I got it. It's like I
What
call it
happened?
I call it my green genie. Just my whole life was like thrown into chaos, really,
Wow.
like good and bad in both directions.
That's cool.
So on the off chance, you know how people pray, like if they're on their deathbed, they pray like just in case.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about those stones.
Yeah.
Like, hey, maybe.
Yeah. And like Zach's saying, this is kind of what I believe at the moment, at least, is that it's like a placebo or like what was the first word you used? It's like permission slip.
Permission slip.
It
yeah.
like gets your brain just thinking in a different way or like being open to like you say, law of attraction to me is like your brain's just open to these ideas.
Yeah.
So that when like, let's say I'm trying to attract money, when I'm engaging with the world and like some business opportunity comes up, I'm just like more wired towards that and we'll engage with that more.
Yeah, I think of it as like law of attraction and placebo. Like you have this money stone, whatever, I don't know what they are, but then all of a sudden you're actually thinking that into existence. Like
Yeah. I have a
you're more
couple-
confident in your job interview because you have the rock.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So like science has this thing, and it's part of the brain that's called the reticular automating system, and that's basically just when like you see a certain object, or like car, for example. Like you buy a Ford Escape and all of a sudden you start noticing all these Ford Escapes out there. That's
Yeah.
because a certain part of your brain is now geared to notice those things that were always there, but you never noticed them before.
Yeah.
That's kind of how science shrugs off the law of attraction, but I think there's more to it than that. Like our emotional states like emit a certain frequency, and like if you have ever been a musician and like there's a C note playing like with a tuning fork and they hit the C tuning fork on the wall, like a resonance with other instruments is when like the vibration from the C tuning fork meets the vibration off the instrument and they like join together. And when that happens, amplification typically happens. Am I wrong scientifically?
No.
So that's what's happening. So if you relate that to emotions, like that's what a lot of people say, and this is the part that's not maybe scientifically proven, but when you're putting out like a happy vibe out there, you'll resonate with other people who are on a happy vibe as well, and you'll kind of feel discord and like no resonance with people that aren't on that vibe.
Mm-hmm.
So like when we were on LSD, for example, we were all of a sudden resonant with like a whole different spectrum of reality, where it was like we would feel like shit about to go down in like a certain area of like
Dogs. We were like really in tune with dogs. It was
Yeah.
fucking weird.
well, yeah, we'd
We were
look
just-
into a certain like it feel like to me like a pocket of energy was happening, and I'd be like, does it seem like shit's about to go down over there? And everyone would be like, yeah. And then all of a sudden all the dogs would start barking over there. And then this kept happening where like we'd feel a pocket of energy over there, and then all of a sudden like a kid would fall off a chair and start crying. So it was like we were kind of like psychic, but we had no idea what was going to happen, just that something was about to happen.
Yeah.
So like that shit's not like I've never done that in my sober state.
No. Yeah, that's
So
good
like
stuff.
it's like law of attraction is basically like just being resonant with different tunings of reality and like different emotional states, which if you're in an abundant state, maybe like you start attracting wealth, or you start attracting like an abundance of food. Like I've no resistance is also like a mental barrier to this, and I know I'm kind of going off, but like if you have more resistance towards like making money, for example, you're gonna have a tougher time manifesting that. But like if you have no resistance towards something like me towards food, I have zero resistance. Like I don't care if I get it or not, but it always comes to me in like an abundance, and like
Yeah.
it's exactly what I've been craving lately.
Mhm.
It's kind of a weird thing that I manifest easily, but I wish I could do that with money.
You can.
You can, and you
Yeah.
can.
I'll
but
tell you what
it's just a
crystals to
matter of-
buy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
It'll help.
Matter of crystals, man.
I have a little. I have a segment. I don't know where my cards are now.
Did you throw the wrong one?
Probably. Well, it doesn't matter. The segment is hot topics, and I'm gonna have a little graphic right
Hot
here.
topic.
No, it's like hot topic. Hold on.
Hot topic. Oh, that really makes it
Flat. Okay, never mind. Imagine a graphic here. Actually, if you're watching, you don't have to imagine. It's there.
There.
Hot
it is.
topics. So, in the news lately, you've seen these drones over New Jersey,
Yeah.
and people are saying it could be. They're setting up for like a false flag alien invasion to take power from the people or whatever
Mhm.
conspiracy it is. Actually, did they figure out what the drones were?
I don't know. I haven't been following too keenly.
Originally, I thought this was going to happen where they would just like not have these practice runs, but because there's been so many,
Yeah,
it's like the cat's out of the box. It's like
I know.
everyone knows
Yeah,
what this supposed alien invasion could look like, and so when they actually try and execute it, if that was the plan, like everyone's going to know, oh, these are just the drones they've been testing for the last months.
yeah, and I've seen like they do the drone shows instead of fireworks placed now.
Yeah.
That technology can only advance. Like you could just
Oh,
put
man.
a spaceship in the sky.
Totally, they did in one
Right.
of those fireworks shows. Like,
Oh yeah,
showed a spaceship up there. It was like
Yeah.
sick.
They pressed the wrong button. They're like, no, no, no.
Not
That's
yet,
the one
not
we're
yet.
gonna use.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about an alien invasion and that kind of thing? If it could be real or not, like a staged one versus are they already here, kind of thing.
Jordan, you go first.
Hot topic.
I think if any alien wants to invade us, we just have no chance whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like I just don't think, like if something can get here without us knowing, or like travel space and time and or dimensions or something. Like we're
Yeah.
just fucked. So to
Just
me,
like
I'm just
a
like,
zoo animal.
yeah. To me, I'm just like I embrace those alien overlords, and like hopefully like I can learn something from them. And if they're they could just be all around us already, and we'd have no idea. Like we're just the little ants. I don't know like if I have a preference for like what that would play out, or if I do want that to be the case. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm kind of believing what I've heard from channelers of spirits and aliens that so like they compare the vibrations between an alien and like a human as like humans like spin at a certain frequency, and it has to do with that resonance again of like the vibrations we emit. So if we're like a gear spinning at a certain frequency, and then this other high vibe alien comes in and it's a gear spinning at a super fast frequency, and you try and put those gears together, like the fast gear is going to shred the like lower frequency gear or like the slowly revolving gear. So like our systems could like potentially like just shut down in the presence of these like other beings, or ours could affect them so much because like we have apparently, when you compare us to other beings in the universe that they're channeling, like our frequency spectrum is so wide because of our emotional spectrum is so vast compared to like these like monotone like gray aliens with the big eyes that you see in like movies and stuff. Apparently that's like not based on nothing. It's based on like actual.
Hey, it's me again. I just wanted to talk about what we went over earlier, subscribing, sharing it with your friends. I really appreciate all that work you did. Thanks. And we're back. I don't know what you were saying. I just had to get out of here for a second.
I think we were talking
Life
about
on
Europa.
planets,
Europa.
life out there.
Yeah. Oh, I think I was just saying like we know like what the moons are composed of with like water, ice, and stuff like that. But then all we can do is base that on what we know from Earth. So yeah, they're like, oh, there would be squid-like things maybe.
Yeah.
But
I think that is just they have the ice and liquid water, carbon dioxide.
yeah. To me, like evolution is a lot more complicated than just being like, yeah, there would be a squid there.
Right. It's like looking for food just because there's a microwave, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Well, I mean, if there's a microwave on the moon, then
that would be
that's
cool.
something else. Yeah.
My other hot topic was Mars and Elon Musk and whatnot. You know quite a bit about Mars, don't you?
A bit, yeah. I used to do work with Mars NASA group for a bit.
So, is everything you see in the media accurate? Like Elon saying we're gonna have a colony there in whatever amount of time he says, or
I think it's possible. I guess traditionally, like political motivations come from like wars and stuff. So maybe like this really rich billionaire can fund that all on his own and do this stuff. But like for instance, to get to the moon in the 70s, like that required this whole like Cold War stuff with Russia, like pushing that to actually happen. So unless like some apocalyptic threat started happening, or like people,
like the alien invasion, right?
Yeah, we're connecting dots.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if there's an alien invasion and we got to like accelerate the Mars program, then I think
do we have
happen.
a problem with radiation traveling between here and there that we can't solve? That's what someone told me once.
Not as far as I know for the traveling. Like I think there's definitely more radiation that you'd be getting, but as far as I know, like a human could do that, and like you would just have to, because Mars doesn't have an atmosphere to really protect from that stuff, or like magnetic field and all this stuff. So you'd have to bunker down when you're up there and have radiation protections. But as far as I know, I'm pretty sure it can happen. My conspiracy theorist uncle likes to say we would turn into a fried chicken if we tried to go into space.
Right.
And that's just his TikToks informing him on that.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Like
that it happens. Once you're in the
once
you're in the echo chamber that you're in, you're just it's facts, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That actually brings me to the false flag thing. What are some conspiracies you may or may not believe in? Like what ones totally out what ones may be in.
Do you have some?
I don't know if you can say 9/11 on a podcast. So let's
That's
just
true.
let's just
How
skip
can we
that
say
one.
it in
Yeah.
a different language? Nueve.
They'll find it. We'll skip that one.
Skip the
'cause-
9/11
yeah.
thoughts.
Yeah. I guess even the
We
vax.
probably all
if
just
I
d-
say vax, then we're canceled again.
Oh yeah, we can't say that
Yeah,
either.
those are the ones.
Let's
I was
skip
talking
that whole segment because
Okay.
we're just gonna get
We're gonna
all of a
get in
sudden it's
shit
gonna be
this
like
whole thing.
right wing extremist
Yeah.
podcast, the deets.
The deets.
No,
Yeah.
never mind.
That
Never
sucks.
mind. Are you ready for a little game?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
I don't have a little jingle or a graphic yet, but game. Okay, so the game is I lost one of the cards, so it's going to be a shorter game than we thought. It's I could pull up more if we're having fun. But the game is I'm going to read a quote and you guys vote, decide if it's a philosopher or a pop song. I was writing the philosopher's name down to tell you,
Mhm.
and then all of a sudden I couldn't pronounce them anymore. So now it's just simply you're either right or wrong.
'Kay.
You can keep points if you want. I'll
Sounds
put it
good.
over the screen, the philosopher's name,
'Kay.
and the audience can read it the way they
Nice.
want to.
Okay.
Okay. I can't even read my writing. I should have just maybe a screen right here would be good. Okay. You might know this one. It's a classic.
Classic philosopher.
I'm not telling
Who
you.
knows?
You almost got me there.
Giving it away.
Okay, here we go. Life is not measured by time, but by moments.
Is that a song? I don't know what song it would be.
It's got to be lyrics.
You think so?
My vote's
I don't-
lyrics.
You can vote separately.
We can.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
voting separately.
It's actually a
Mm.
competition.
It's a competition. Yeah, fuck you. I'm not talking to you anymore. I'll go philosopher.
Okay. Number 1, philosopher.
Oh,
Aristotle.
Aristotle.
Yeah.
beautiful. Should be a song.
Could be.
Okay. Okay. Number 2. The shadows only know the sun by its absence.
That sounds like a philosopher.
Yeah, my vote's philosopher too.
Pop song.
What song is
Ooh.
that?
I don't know.
Oh,
It's by Hosier. I don't know the
Okay.
song though. Pop. Kind of pop, not
yeah,
really
that's
pop.
fine.
But yeah,
Wow.
Music lyrics in general.
I'm going to have a score floating above your
Okay.
heads. So one of you's winning, just so you know.
1-0.
Okay. Here we go. All the pieces lie where they fell, and I'll never find them again.
Pop song.
Pop song.
It's a pop song.
It's very lyrical.
Iron
who?
and Wine.
Iron and Wine.
Okay.
All right.
It's only darkness that you will see in the stars.
Ooh.
Pop song.
I'll go philosopher.
It's a pop song.
Oh shit.
Oh, tie game.
Lord.
Oh no.
Mhm.
Lord
She-
the philosopher.
She's a poet.
She's
Yeah.
a poet.
Some deep meaning to that. Those stars can be dark.
Okay. You must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star.
Philosopher.
Philosopher.
Yep. It's a philosopher.
Do we have a ding 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 noise?
Yeah. Ah. I'm not. There's no time for that.
Yeah. Added in post.
Time is the wisest counselor of all.
Is that a trick question? Is that both?
Probably.
Time is the wisest.
Philosopher.
I'll go pop song.
It's a philosopher.
That's good.
Okay.
Wait, how many more questions are left?
2.
Okay.
What's the score?
I think I'm winning.
3-2, I think, for Zach.
Okay, well, we have 2 left, so come on.
'Kay.
Get it together.
I'm back.
Well, there's actually more, but they're somewhere on the ground. I got throw crazy with the cards. Okay, don't confuse movement with progress.
Shit, that's good.
Philosopher.
Philosopher.
Pop song.
Shit.
Okay.
Which pop song or which group?
Denzel Curry. Never heard of that.
Okay.
I can't read this one, honestly. Oh, it's a good one, too. Where's my phone? He not busy being born is busy dying.
I think that's a philosopher.
Yeah, I'd have to say philosopher with the whole he beginning.
It's the philosopher Bob Dylan.
Shit.
It's a pop song.
That's
Good
funny
damn.
as fuck.
To see a world in a grain of sand and heaven in a wildflower.
That's a philosopher.
Pop song.
It's a philosopher.
Shit. Tie game.
Tie game. Let me just find this one. This will be the last one. It's a lot of dead time because of this. Next time.
Next time, right? Better maybe.
Producer.
Wow.
Can I see the card?
Uh,
Maybe I can read your writing. Oh,
yeah.
but then it says
well, I covered what today. What is that?
the privilege.
Privilege of a lifetime
Yeah,
is what's this word?
is being who you
Oh, yes.
are.
The privilege of a lifetime is being who you are.
Pop song.
Philosopher. Let's break this tie.
It was a philosopher. That's it. That's a good game.
That's a good game. That was funny.
You get a prize.
What's that?
Deets mug?
Uh,
No, that's too expensive.
He's like,
we'll figure it out later. We'll talk. So what else, you guys? We're pretty good on time here.
Yeah.
Anything you have? Promote your podcast one more time before we go. Tell people where to find it, what it's called.
Yeah, it's called Inner and Outer Worlds Podcast on Spotify and YouTube.
Mhm.
In closing, Jeff, what are your beliefs on the afterlife?
In closing, that's the closing.
You're
Usually-
closing his
It's
show.
like at the end of life.
Usually,
end of the show. At the
in
end of the
closing, is
show's
just
life.
did you have fun today? It's just like quick, and then we're like close.
Yeah,
not like,
this is
oh,
another.
We get deep in our
Um,
podcast. So
I don't know. I go back and forth. I kind of just feel like you kind of just die.
no continuation of
I
anything.
feel like you just kind of die. But that being said, I do like it, if there's like a sign from someone I know who's died, I like think about that too. So
Yeah.
Mm.
Have you had those?
yeah. So maybe I'm just not ready.
Mhm.
I'm not at
Mm.
that place yet. But I usually just think you just die for the most part.
Okay. But
Yeah.
those breadcrumbs of signs that you've had from people who
Yeah, I don't know. That's
it's hard
just
to
like
shrug that off, you know?
I shrug it off, and I think that's a nice thought that I've developed for myself.
Yeah. To be
So-
continued.
Well, you know what? Next time you come on the show, maybe I'll dip into that box of I'll
Goodies.
accidentally macrodose,
Yeah.
and I might be texting you like, "Yo,
Yeah.
actually, scratch that. I actually know. It's not even a question."
I'll be sitting in that chair interviewing you.
Yeah, maybe. Except I'll be alone, just with the voice modifier.
Just
I'll
talking
think
to ghosts.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
But a lot of people start there. I do like religious people, though. I'm not one of those people that, some people are like angry and hate religious people
Yeah.
for being religious.
Yeah.
I feel that happens a lot.
I think there's something to be said about like collective goodwill. Like
I was also
coming
raised
together.
Catholic, so it's just like
Mhm.
It's like
They're nice.
I like Christmas. I love Santa Claus too.
It's like
So
the man upstairs.
yeah, I like a lot of religions though. Anyone who's religious, as long as it's not like mean spirited.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, some people use it as like an excuse to be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
I used to think it
don't
was like
those
the
people.
source of all problems, like wars and shit, and I was like against it when I first started learning. Well, whether I was an atheist, which I was back in the day, or like getting into like new age stuff, I was thinking like, man, religion really taints like
There's
wisdom.
a lot of bad apples.
Yeah, but you
like-
could say that about anything. So it's like overall, you're right. Most
There's a lot of
religious
wars
people are
over
great people.
oil that they're saying are religious wars,
Mhm.
just like because
Yeah.
people are fanatical about that anyway.
Yeah.
And then there's like, all it's the internet really does it to people.
It's true. They exaggerate the extremist sides of anything. So it's
Mhm.
what gets the most clicks, and then you think everyone's like that. But really,
There's
you
also
meet
people who are just like,
chill.
oh, I can't order food because I've given so much money to all these different charities because of my religion. It's like,
Right.
oh, and some people are like, burn them.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That seems like pretty helpful to society too.
To burn them.
No, having them there.
It does, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Any cause that's like gathering people for the intention of goodwill, doing good in the world.
Yeah, as long as they could just
Right on.
still be open. Like,
Because when they start taking their stories as fact, and then if a different freaking religion is like saying
Mhm.
it's something different, then they get mad and start fighting each other. And
Yeah.
yeah. It's like,
Because a lot of the Bible was meant to be said in parable and not
right.
taken
And
literally.
all of the Bibles, all of the books.
Yeah.
They're always, but that's not how people take them.
no.
No.
Yeah. A lot of people don't even, like, I like to hear every perspective. That helps for
too.
everything. But
That's right.
I love playing devil's advocate for pretty much every topic.
Yeah.
Like when people are like voting in either direction, I can just completely flip for depending on who I'm talking to against them, not agreeing with them. I like to be against them. So
Yeah, it challenges people to get more concrete in their beliefs or like realize that they're not actually based in anything solid.
yeah, especially in politics. Usually, like any person on either side extreme, it's just like
Silly.
you didn't look into any of this.
Yeah.
Totally.
It doesn't even matter
It's just
who I'm talking to.
both are just bullshitting, and that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It's
and then
almost-
in the end, it's like the same. They're like
Yeah.
just the same things.
totally.
Yeah, exactly.
So funny.
They have a couple YouTube channels that are good at bringing people together in like discussion circles on not just politics but all.
Like-
um,
Like what?
um,
What channels?
I think it's Jubilee. There's a couple. Jubilee is popping into my head right now.
Nice.
Check it out.
Anything about you unifying the people or like creating common ground on things that seem different, I think is beneficial.
Yeah, like literally in the art of war, divide and conquer. Like you're losing if we're all divided, right?
Exactly.
So
We can all win if we unify.
Yeah.
Or try and find common ground.
Have you read the book *Sapiens*?
I have it. I haven't
have it?
read it yet.
You should read like the first eighth of it. Like it's
Mhm.
just super cool. He goes into like why fiction was one of the most important things that separated us from like other animals. Like
Yeah.
the ability to make up stories and share them.
I should.
Like,
It's
bas-
on my list.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like don't even read the whole book unless it's interesting. But like that beginning is cool because it's like before that, when we were monkeys, like the most we could have in one group was like 50 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as like we developed this like storytelling capacity, we could all praise a common god or like praise something. And then if you see some stranger you don't know out in the wilderness, if they like are able to communicate about
Yeah.
some common interest or common like religion or something, then you're like, oh, you're
Hmm.
one of us. Like we can start to combine into like societies and stuff.
I'll definitely read that. It's in the list.
Yeah.
It's maybe third on my list. Do you have any books you're trying to read right now?
Right now, I'm actually reading this Young Pueblo book. It's called.
Is that Kanye
It
West?
sounds like a rapper.
It sounds like a rapper.
Young
Totally.
Pop.
This one's not inward. Fuck, what's his new one? Anyways, Young Pueblo, he's like one of the best spiritual authors of our modern time, and he like simplifies things really well. I think it's called The Path Forward.
Do you use any of those apps like Headway or Blinkist or any of those?
I just started using Headway. Yeah,
Is it good?
it is good.
There's a couple, and I don't know which one to choose.
I did not like it
No?
for myself.
Did you have
I can
Headway?
I had Headway, and I just got the sense it's all AI generated, and like
You can
there
tell.
you could just tell, and I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just felt lazy, and didn't feel like I was actually like learning anything, even though it's like a shortened version of a book.
It's not
but
like someone read it and did a
Yeah,
like a
and-
review.
yeah, it didn't seem like they were like caring to like tell me the story in an interesting like short way. It was just like some AI blurb, and I was like,
I guess it depends on the book. Like, if it is just an AI, if it's like a book with facts, it wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
But if it's a book with like some kind of heart to it, then it
Yeah.
maybe wouldn't work.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's true.
Have you been using it for long?
There was just about a week that I used it like every day, like the free trial, and then I was suckered into buying the full version.
Yeah,
But
that
now
happened.
that you say that, like knowing that it's just AI, it kind of lands.
How long's
that,
your-
Yeah.
Did you buy a year?
Yeah.
I did
Well,
that.
Sad.
There's
I
an
don't-
app called Elevate.
Yeah.
I bought the year, and it's like brain training games.
Nice.
Mm.
But I think they're tricking me with I'm improving so much. I think they're tricking me.
It's just a
Yeah. Does
dopamine
it
Yeah.
not
hack.
feel like you're improving on your day-to-day life?
It did. I stopped for a while.
Yeah.
It did feel like I was getting better at the games, faster
Sweet.
at them.
I think it does relate to like your day-to-day, but maybe not as like drastic as they claim.
I'll show it to you. See what
Okay.
happens when we keep talking. You find closing thoughts. Like, what's everything you've ever thought of? Tell me your deepest thing. Okay, let's wrap it up. You got to go.
Yeah.
You got to go. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having
This
us.
was
Come on
awesome.
again. How often do you? Oh, both of you. How often do you visit?
At the same time, not maybe all the time.
Holidays?
Holidays.
Some of them?
Holidays for
probably
sure.
when we're both here. Yeah.
Or we could, yeah,
There's not
Cool.
that many holidays
yeah.
No.
where you actually have to fly in.
We'll see you Easter.
No. Are you coming for Easter?
Probably.
Probably.
Okay. We'll do another one.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Okay. Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Thanks for coming. And I just.
Just fade to black.
One more thing. If you want to get into podcasting or have any questions about it, send me a message. I don't know where I'm pointing. Send me a message. People do that. Send me a message.